can't handle the truth.
They're here.
And the answer you're looking for lies right here.
Well, hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and I'm joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we have somewhat of a special edition today. It's right when it should be, but the special part of it is, well, wow.
Yeah, it's definitely special.
Yeah, wow. We had one of those days that something happens and you want to mark it, you want to remember it, because it's a big one. It's one of those, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube kind of days. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get right into it. Obviously, when I got to work on June 5th, I didn't expect Monday to go quite the way it did, and for UFO Twitter to blow up the way it did for whatever side they wanted to be on. But regardless, I thought it deserved a proper, somewhat serious, as much as we can, dive. So let's get right into it, folks. For many decades, I believe there's been various black budget military programs keeping knowledge of extraterrestrial presence from the public, using censorship and manipulation by the media, using TV and film to turn shocking evidence of intelligent extraterrestrial life into jokes, and trying to make us into tinfoil hat wearing X-File music playing weirdos. While they've been hiding secret underground bases, genetic experiments, alien implants, cattle mutilations, reverse engineering of alien technology, and an ancient history of an ongoing alien presence on Earth. Several incredibly brave whistleblowers have come forward over the years to uncover political, technological, and military motivations for the lies, the harassment, and the discrediting of UFO abductees and witnesses. Over the years, we have heard testimonies from amazing eyewitnesses such as Bob Lazar, who probably loves today's story, or the former Prime Minister of Canada, Paul Hellyer, United States Air Force Captain Robert Salas, Air Force Colonel, Nuclear Engineer Don Ware, the UK Ministry of Defense spokesman Nick Pope, astronomer Jacques Vallée, Philip Schneider, a former explosive engineer employed by the U.S. government, introduced the idea of Dulce as a site of brutal human-alien war. Schneider, who had a high-level security clearance, claimed that he'd helped construct a secret underground base, remember those dumbs, in Dulce in 1979. He says he witnessed a battle with subterranean aliens that left 60 humans dead. Then there's the late and great nuclear physicist Stan Friedman. Who could forget during the pandemic, the whistleblower of a retired 87-year-old Israeli Defense Force general and space security chief named Haim Eshed. Currently employed as a professor, according to Eshed, there's a galactic federation that's agreed to keep things on the DL. Also, the aliens are on a massive research project to understand the fabric of the universe. There's also a secret alien and American base underground on Mars, according to Eshed. Back then, he said President Trump knows all about them and wanted to speak on the fact of their existence, but was stopped. I do remember him saying, if you guys only knew what I knew about aliens or UFOs. And what about that Area 51 coast-to-coast mystery caller? Remember that one? I have to listen to that one about once a year just because of the immense drama of the whole thing. Or what about Harvard psychiatrist John Mack's work on people who have believed they've been abducted? And just like the amazing work of Bud Hopkins, it's terrifying when you discover that out of hundreds of regression sessions, that these normal folks all have eerie and similar experiences, including a very young me and my mother. The UFO and alien subject has absolutely haunted me since before I have regular memories. My earliest memory is being taken into the sky. It all literally goes down from there, right? But throughout my life and accomplishments, along the way with many witnesses, I've endured missing time prompt phenomena, psychic experience there's no way to explain. Physical ailments that, again, no doctor could ever explain except having elevated levels proving I was in severe pain. Speaking of severe, the paranormal experiences that I neither wanted or originally asked for whatsoever. So needless to say, when I hear about a new whistleblower, I'm very much intrigued, but also skeptical in a healthy way. There is no doubt about the fact that psyops have been performed on the general public dating back decades to influence our opinions and at times to gauge our response to questions of aliens. This coming October is going to mark the 85th anniversary of Orson Welles' notorious broadcast of War of the Worlds. It was a Halloween episode of the radio series The Mercury Theater on the Air. It was directed and narrated by Orson Welles. This time they were doing an adaptation of H.G. Wells' novel The War of the Worlds from 1898. It was performed and broadcast live that night, 8 p.m. Eastern, on October 30th, 1938, on the CBS radio network. The episode is infamous for inciting a panic by convincing some members of the listening audience that a Martian invasion was taking place. Though the scale of panic is disputed these days, as the program had relatively few listeners, they say, it's not the way it was said for years and years, just so you know, that's only changed in recent years. I believe it served as a precursor or an outline of what could be obtained using unknowing test groups. However, it also showed the gullibility of an unsuspecting human mind. So grains of salt are always advised when a story with the gravity of the one we're about to discuss comes around. And dear friends, we love you all and joke about it quite a lot. This is not about the joking. Not today. This is about the facts as we know them. On Monday, June 5th, 2023, there was quite a bombshell article released via the Debrief website. In an article authored by Leslie Keene and Ralph Blumenthal titled Intelligence Officials Say U.S. Has Retrieved Craft of Non-Human Origin. I will now supply some of what we have found to be the most incredible sections of the article. We encourage you to read every word for yourself and, as always, make up your own mind, as we will provide the link in the episode's description. And as for the article highlights themselves, here we go. A former intelligence official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the Intelligence Community Inspector General extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved, intact, and partially intact craft of non-human origin. That means aliens, kids. The information, he says, has been illegally withheld from Congress. And he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures. It's reported here for the first time. Other intelligence officials, both active and retired, with knowledge of these programs through their work in various agencies, have independently provided similar corroborating information both on and off the record. The whistleblower, David Charles Grush, 36. He's a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, and he's a lot of other things, including being on the UAP task force from 2019 to 2021. That's the most important thing. He from 21 to July 22, he was the NGA's co-lead for the UAP analysis and representative to the task force. There's going to be a number of things that you can go back in and see just how accredited this gentleman is. Mm-hmm. And it's extensive. And so is all his super friends that hang out at the Hall of Justice. Everybody they put in here, there's a paragraph for everybody saying Billy was a really good boy. Lucy never missed church. It's that kind of stuff. It's people that are beyond reproach.
I think that's the words they use, isn't it?
I believe they use it at some point.
Beyond reproach, yes.
Beyond reproach. It just sounds like a challenge to me. I'm going to reproach all over them. So we all know about the UAP task force by this point, if you're listening to this show, and what it was made to do, right?
Right.
Find swamp gas. But here's where we get some nitty gritty. Grush said the recoveries of partial fragments through and up to intact vehicles have been made for decades through the present day by the government, its allies, and defense contractors. Analysis has determined that the objects retrieved are of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin, based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures, he said. We're not talking about prosaic origins or identities. Prosaic would be like commonplace, folks. Not that you didn't know that, but,
right.
You know, just not going to be tossing out these...
Covering all the bases here, aren't we? Yeah.
These $5 words. I figure I'd give you a $3.50 definition. But referencing information Grush provided Congress and the current ICIG, the material includes intact and partially intact vehicles. In accordance with protocols, Grush provided the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review at the Department of Defense, DoD, with the information he intended to disclose to us. His on-the-record statements were all, quote, cleared for open publication, end quote, on April 4th and 6th, 2023, and documents provided to us. That part is very important because he not only crossed the T's, Stacey, he dotted the I's.
He did. And apparently he provided the debrief with actual documents. Like he has all of his ducks in a row.
Yeah.
He gave them the documents where I can't believe that he told them what he was going to say and they were like, sure.
They had to because he went through...
the proper channels?
We'll get to that. He went through the whistleblower thing, but yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, and it goes on saying such things as, for many decades, the Air Force carried out a disinformation campaign to discredit reported sightings of unexplained objects. Thought I'd throw that one out.
Right.
And some of his super friends, as I put it, like Carly Nell, gives his credentials. Christopher Mellon. And Christopher Mellon says, a number of well-placed current and former officials have shared detailed information with me regarding this alleged program, including insights into the history, governing documents, and the location where a craft was allegedly abandoned and recovered. However, it is a delicate matter getting this potentially explosive information into the right hands for validation. This is made harder by the fact that, rightly or wrongly, a number of potential sources... listen closely, do not trust the leadership of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW, established by Congress. But some insiders are now willing to take the risk of coming forward for the first time with knowledge of these recovery programs. Another super friend is Jonathan Gray, who actually has to say, the non-human intelligence phenomenon is real. We are not alone. Retrievals of this kind are not limited to the United States. It's a big part of this too. It's a global phenomenon, and yet a global solution continues to elude us, not just with everything, right?
So basically he's saying... we have this stuff, but not just us. We're not the only ones. That every country is doing the same thing.
They refer to it as a Cold War of technology,
right?
Of otherworldly technology, basically. He said he reported to Congress on the existence of a decades-long publicly known Cold War for recovered and exploited physical material, a competition with near-peer adversaries over the years to identify UAP crashes and landings and retrieve the material of exploitation / reverse engineering to garner asymmetric national defense advantages, like invisible ships.
So who could get the technology first, basically?
Right, exactly. Right. Greer said that the craft recovery operations are ongoing at various levels of activity, and that he knows the specific individuals, current and former, who are involved, all of whom had a collective release of bowels turning the water when they read that part. Individuals on these UAP programs approached me in my official capacity and disclosed their concerns regarding a multitude of wrongdoings, such as illegal contracting against the federal acquisition regulations and other criminality and the suppression of information across a qualified industrial base and academia, he stated. Associates who vouched for Grush said his information was highly sensitive, providing evidence that materials from objects of non-human origin are in the possession of highly secret black programs. Although locations, program names, and other specific data remain classified, the Inspector General and Intelligence Committee staff were provided with these details. That's a big deal. Several current members of the recovery program spoke to the Inspector General's office and corroborated the information Grush had provided for the classified complaint. That's a very important part.
Yes.
It's just one guy's story.
Well, no. On this official document, it tells you about the official testimonies.
Right. I mean, he couldn't give specific details because a lot of this information is classified.
Super duper classified.
And he had a high level of clearance.
Super duper
he
clearance.
He was able, and that's all been corroborated.
Corroborated.
His background has been checked and fact checked, and they came to him, and it says in these documents that they even corroborated what he's saying that other people told him.
So Grush left the government on April 7th, 2023. In order, he said, to advance government accountability through public awareness. He remains well supported within intelligence circles, and numerous sources have vouched for his credibility. He had to go to the private sector to do this. Mm-hmm. His assertion concerning the existence of a terrestrial arms race occurring sub rosa over the past 80 years, focused on reverse engineering technologies of unknown origin, is fundamentally correct, as is the indisputable realization that at least some of these technologies of unknown origin derive from non-human intelligence, said Carl Nell, the retired Army colonel who worked with Grush on the UAP task force. An unclassified version of the complaint provided to us states that Grush has direct knowledge that UAP-related classified information has been withheld and or concealed from Congress by elements of the intelligent community to purposely and intentionally thwart legitimate congressional oversight of the UAP program. All testimony Grush provided for a classified complaint was provided under oath. Oath means you had to promise to tell the truth. As a result, what do you think happened?
Well,
Do you think they congratulated him?
yeah, shook his hand, gave him an award.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you first whistle blow and they bring him a big golden whistle.
Right, right.
Yeah,
They're like, "Ooh, you're so brave."
he missed that party. He got the other one. So Grush suffered months of retaliation and reprisals related to these disclosures beginning in 2021. Hey, that was a year before we got that new law.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It's almost like the new law may have been made for this particular reason.
Could have been.
He asked that details of these reprisals be withheld to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation. Now get this part. The Intelligence Community Inspector General found his complaint credible and urgent in July 2022. Do you know why that's important?
Why is that important, John?
Because here's retaliation and reprisals that happened in 2021 and all that. They found that credible and urgent at the same month that in the House they had presented that national whistleblower,
Oh, they added it to the National Defense
yeah,
Authorization Act.
yes, same month.
Coincidence, huh?
It's a hell of a quinky dink.
It is.
I know that. So that's pretty interesting. The complaint was drafted and signed by McCullough and his managing partner. It ended with Grush's signature attached to his statement that said, "I do solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury that the contents of the foregoing paper are true and correct to the best of my knowledge. So a whistleblower reprisal investigation was launched, and Grush began his communication with the staff of the Congressional Intelligence Committees in private closed-door sessions. According to Grush, certain information which he obtained in his investigation could not be put before congressional staffers because they do not have the necessary clearances for the appropriate investigation authority. I will say, however, things like the existence of complex historical programs involving the coordinated retrieval and study of exotic materials dating back to the early 20th century should no longer remain a secret. The majority of retrieved foreign exotic materials have a prosaic terrestrial explanation. Remember, that's commonplace. Mm-hmm. Majority are commonplace, but not all. And any number higher than 0 in this category represents an undeniably significant statistical percentage. When somebody's saying that in a room, I hope they say the 0 like that.
Well, it's funny because I remember that part of the article. The person that said that was somebody from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, like somebody from the actual Air Force, and they're notoriously bad about coming out with information. Like the Air Force doesn't usually put their opinion in or say anything.
The Hangar 18.
Yeah. So.
It is unusual for Air Force Insider to come forward, as the Air Force has been less forthcoming than other agencies with regard to UAP.
Well, there you go.
Because they're hotty-totty and have to score more on their test.
That's right.
They're like, those Army guys don't even have to have diplomas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Har, har, har. A vast array of our most sophisticated sensors, including space-based platforms, have been utilized by different agencies, typically in triplicate, to observe and accurately identify the out-of-this-world nature, performance, and design of these anomalous machines, which are then determined not to be of earthly origin, Gray said. In addition, the legislation asks for reporting on material retrieval, material analysis, reverse engineering, research and development involving unidentified anomalous phenomena currently and going back decades, which is also a nice little thing to put in there, right?
Right.
The case of David Grush marks a crucial test of the new whistleblower protections, is one other very important part of this paper.
It is.
And their ability to protect future whistleblowers who decide to come forward, make sure they don't suicide themselves.
That's right.
You know? And Grush said it was dangerous for this 80-year arms race, again, a quote there, to continue in secrecy because it further inhibits the world's populace to be prepared for an unexpected non-human intelligence contact scenario. And one thing, according to, on that, I will say, we watched an interview this evening.
Right.
And you could talk about that a little bit.
So they had the interview on News Nation, and it was like the breaking story for this. The first interview that you saw with David Grush. And he did an interview with Ross Coulthart. I think that's how you say his last name.
Close enough.
And they only showed a little piece of the interview. I think that I read somewhere the whole entire interview was like 7 hours long. But they showed the very important parts of him saying...
Why did he interview him for 7 hours?
Important bits of this. I'm not sure. I just read that that's how long it was. That's not confirmed for me. Like some people were saying that it was a very long interview and that they just, edited it down to a couple minutes.
It's a long ass time to interview anybody.
It is.
Especially that guy.
It really is. But, some of the things he said, he seemed very trustworthy to me. I'm with everybody else. He does seem very beyond reproach.
He don't have anything to gain for for lying. The whole thing is, if you're lying, you're in a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. A lot of trouble. He has testified. He's went through every channel you can, and he's got classified documents.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the way that News Nation handled the story. They were very serious about it.
They were.
And they not only spoke to David Grush and showed that piece of the interview. They also, like you said, talked to Lieutenant Graves, got his take on it. They talked to Leslie Keene, who was one of the authors on the article for the debrief. And she even said that she had other whistleblowers that I guess will probably be coming forward.
There's a long line of a string of whistleblowers that go with this story.
Right. But she already has talked to them. She already has that information. And a lot of the information corroborates each other. Like, it's not just him coming out and saying, this is what I think and nobody else thinks this. And so it's a very solid bit of information. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to get out of this
listen,
one.
It's like this. It's the biggest story maybe ever. Mm-hmm. This could potentially be the biggest story of our entire lives. Mm-hmm. All it is when we get these people and we force them, okay, you've got this where you were part of this, you did retrieval, blah, blah, blah. So you guys were lying when you got up here and said that we don't know this, we don't know that. We never heard of that. We can't answer that, whatever. Let's do that in a closed session. Mm-hmm. Right? You guys were lying. Plain and simple. For years. I don't care if it's 50, 60, 70, or one day. You lied to the taxpayers. You lied. And you don't need to do what you're doing anymore. Mm-hmm. And the people that came before you should be held accountable and don't need to be doing what they're doing. Because we don't need any more lies.
Right.
Just come out and tell us what the hell's going on and why does it require lies? Now, if it's all because you are wanting to be able to keep the world in servitude and keep blowing people up before they blow you up, same old thing, right? We probably understand that a little, but we still want to know the truth. We don't want to be called liars. We don't want people, loved ones, to go to the grave that have had experiences.
Right.
Being laughed at and ridiculed. It's so far past time. And people can look at this and then they can make their little snide comment or a little joke or whatever and not really get behind it. And you know what? I'm sick of that too. Because it's people like that allow these things to keep going, that enable these asshats to be able to continue to lie. Because the only thing that's going to do it is you got to get some balls. Mm-hmm. And you got to do what this guy who has gigantic balls did. Because he knew the trolls online. He knew these guys in their mom's basement that were going to be like,
oh no, I noticed that he didn't do this. He didn't do this. My favorite whistleblower is this guy.
Well, you know what? Your guy that you go stand in deserts with for 5 fucking hours is not the decorated dude that just went through 49,000 layers of vetting to do this.
Right.
And I know that there's been so much disinformation come across that it makes it hard to trust, right? It's like any kind of relationship. But if my old lady had done all kinds of bad things to me and then came to me, it's like, here's my blood test. Here's the scraping they did of inside my mouth. Here's my camera of what I've done for the last 72 hours. And here's my geolocator. Here's all my passwords. That's basically what this dude's doing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really interesting too that how he talked about the fact that the task force, Arrow or whatever, all of this information is being kept from them.
Yeah.
So they're there.
They're not the enemy here.
No, they're not the enemy here. And it's not that they're lying. Arrow's not lying. When they say things like, we haven't had any evidence of this. We haven't.
It's frustrating,
they're
but
not being told.
No, yeah.
They're not being given this classified information.
Right. It's an important distinction to make because we quickly go government. Mm-hmm. They're all government. Mm-hmm. That's not how it works.
Right. No, it's so compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And they even mentioned in this article about the black programs.
Yeah.
And if it's a black program, that means that only very, very few people. That's the point of having levels of clearance. People that don't have a certain level of clearance,
and it still doesn't matter.
Know nothing.
It still doesn't matter.
Right.
It's still a black program. So, and they also get smart about it and use people in the private sector that they contract.
Right.
And that's completely different. That's a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. And those guys have their own little armies.
Well, and that's like people are always saying, "Oh, could the whole government keep this secret for Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, they could.
Absolutely. Gulf of Tonkin did pretty well there for a second. There's a couple other things. I mean, they tower over me just thinking about it. But I think that if a black program wanted to keep something secret, it absolutely could. You know, it's things that people that are scared. That's the trolls. They're scared. They really are. They can't say that.
Right.
So they troll. And it's people that's been hurt by getting behind something that they find out was fake.
Right. People don't want to be wrong.
No, and it burns them. But I don't think this guy really cares. I think he knew what was going to come. I think he knew the shitstorm that was going to be his. And, you know, listen, I'm behind it. If it comes out that we're all being Rudy-tooed, it's going to be his ass. It's going to be a learning experience for all of us. And, you know, it still started a great conversation in a great area to have that conversation.
Yep.
But again, the levels that he had to go to, guys, this is not a TV show, okay? It's levels of actual, look, I'm having to get rid of my career that I'm super dedicated and has all these, you know, history of doing these things. And again, it's not the clearance as much as it is you get brought into these things. And there's some other famous stories out there with whistleblowers from years past. And I can remember specifically, you know, they recruited me, you know, this one guy from the 60s and I couldn't even pass the test for the military. And, you know, I was going to be a typist and they're like, did you ever type? No, they took me here and I did this. And, you know, that's all he ever did was those kind of studies. Right. But, this is incredible. It really is. And again, this could be the biggest story of our time. And it feels like it is right now. I just want to, the grain of salt for me is waiting to see the blowback, waiting to see the cover up. You can already see mainstream media is not covering it really.
Right.
Which is preposterous. Especially, I saw one asshole, right? This one guy was like, well, it only had one source. And I'm thinking, you know what? If Donald Trump had if somebody said Donald Trump ate a hot dog earlier and, you know, didn't think it tasted good, spit it in a napkin, it would have been on every channel. It would have been flying over my house on a airplane banner.
Right.
And it could have been that somebody at the food court told somebody's cousin who then whispered it to their dog who miraculously learned how to talk and told a monkey who went to a circus, fondled a priest. The priest got upset and said it during his sermon. And a choir boy went and told his uncle who is working for a newspaper.
Right. And that's the source.
And that's the source, right? Because I remember many stories over the past, you know, 6-7 years that we either didn't have the source, those mysterious sources,
or it wasn't verified,
or the non-verified. I remember the New York Times story that the same authors did in 2017 had all kinds of hidden sources, and I'm sure they probably showed it to the New York Times on that one, so that's not a good one. But I mean, just saying.
Yeah, that's not good.
There's a lot of no source out there.
Right.
And that's not even being, look, again, not being political, guys. That's just facts are facts. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. That's just the facts. But something cool was Lieutenant Ryan Graves.
Right.
That guy comes off good. Not only is he probably the hottest, you know, whistleblower that I've seen, because normally whistleblowers are like,
hello? Is this on? Oh, is it? It's on? He was hairy and he was 9 feet tall and yeah, he was scary and had big, huge feet. But no, Lieutenant Ryan Graves is like, yeah, that's right. I was talking to Goose the other day. But anyway, he was gave a couple of cool little nuggets. He said he was disappointed in last week's independent study team
the public meeting that was released from
NASA.
When the FAA chief reported to only know but a few of these reports.
Right.
4 or 5. When at the same time, Orion is hearing that pilots are seeing things on a nightly basis in the northern Atlantic and the northern Pacific,
Right.
for off the coast there for the past few months. And of course, his originally was off the coast of Virginia Beach down to Jacksonville, where he was seeing things. And his was weird as hell. And everybody was okay with that. That was that gelatinous damn, what was it you saw? Oh, I saw 400 migrant workers in a train in the sky. They were all humming, Beethoven. Yeah, I mean, it was really weird. It's like the spear and it was a cube, a black cube, gray cube in a like a gelatinous spear.
Yeah.
A sphere.
Now, he did say, because this was part of the News Nation story as well, that, like you said, almost on a nightly basis, pilots come to him and tell him, and then, the FAA is like, well, we've only had 3 or 4 reports. So now you have to wonder if the FAA is just not telling the truth, or if pilots are still not comfortable reporting it.
FAA is not telling the truth.
You think that's what it is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I absolutely, positively think that.
Well, hopefully this whole whistleblower thing goes well for Mr. Grush.
Well,
and I mean, he's pretty much, he's 36. He's basically just given up his entire career to whistleblow. I mean, what is he going to do now? Like as far as his job.
He's going to write a book.
Yeah.
He's going to get a movie deal.
He's going to show up at conventions.
Yeah, conventions for the rest of his life.
Yeah. So.
He's probably going to wind up with some Havana syndrome. So it won't matter.
He's going to.
Feel like it's the damnedest thing.
He's some heart problems or something. I don't know.
What is it, sir? Well, the damnedest thing. I just got these tickets for a vacation to Havana. Didn't even know it was legal for us to go to Havana. Oh, yeah, here's all the rage right now. You were to go. You'll have a great time. We have an old building down there. You can have the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice and posh.
Yeah.
I think some government officials used to stay there or something at one time. I don't know.
By the way, here's the new Apple VR set. Just put this on. It may sound weird for a minute, but don't think about it. Did you see that thing?
I saw it. Is that the one that's like clear or something and it looks really strange?
So the Apple VR, I must own.
It's very expensive.
And so?
I'm just saying.
I'm worth it, baby.
Okay.
I'm worth it. And anyway, who's gonna be the one playing with it if I get it?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
But I hadn't read about it yet. So is there like an advantage over the Quest?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Apple.
Oh, I see.
That's all you need to know.
Okay.
You know how I am.
Yes.
If it's Apple, it's knowledge. It wasn't damned old Satan in that garden. It was knowledge.
I got you.
You know who it was?
Who was it?
It was the wife of God. Yeah, I can feel my grandmother flying up from Virginia to slap me in the face.
Right.
So
right
I watched this whole big long. I couldn't sleep the other night. I watched 6 hours of Bible mysteries. It was basically, we hate the Bible. We're going to do 6 damn episodes telling you why. I was like, after like the first few things, it's just like when I was a kid, right? Because it's so taboo. Me and you both, we went to church when we were growing up. I mean, I'm talking every time the door opened kind of thing.
Right.
And our whole social circles were in the church, right? Me and you both.
Right.
This would have been so taboo to me that I may not have been able to sleep. I would have been praying, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God.
Right.
It's one of those bad things because at first it was cool. It's always cool.
Right.
The stuff where it's like, this was left out,
They translated this wrong.
Yeah. This is why they called him Peter, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's just all really, really cool at first. And Mary Magdalene stuff, I've always, not in a Doubting Thomas kind of way, in a
Right.
way where I wanted Jesus to have some fun, man. Like
Right,
I
right.
always wanted Jesus to, like, I wanted her not to be a whore,
Right.
right? Or at least a dirty whore, like people make her out. Like, you know, I never had a problem with whores like everybody else. Like, I always thought, you know, hey, it's like on one hand, she's working.
I mean, Jesus didn't have a problem with them either.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
Do you know what else he didn't have a problem with?
What's that?
Cheating ladies. Do you remember that? That's like the whole thing in the square. They were like beating that woman up and all that stuff. And he was like, you know, the first without sin, you know, cast the first stone, whatever.
Right.
Well, I butchered that, but it's
We get the idea.
that famous saying, right? It was all because that woman had committed adultery.
Right.
And it's like, huh. It's interesting. It's a little interesting. You know, they actually said that one didn't happen too. They were like, yeah, they're like, that story was told probably 500 years afterwards.
Right.
It didn't happen.
Right.
But no, you know, so I get like 3 hours deep in this thing. Whew, I'm getting to the point where they're like talking about all the other stories that mimic these stories and stuff, you know, and then how, you know, it was written by the Romans to sort of all this stuff. And I'm thinking, you know, I've watched like 3 hours of this and there's been nothing positive. Like if you're watching it, for the biblical aspect of it,
Right.
there's nothing. I mean, it's just like one after another. And I was thinking, what a miserable person that, I mean, so somebody had to really be full of venom
Right.
when they put this together. Now, listen, it was entertaining as hell.
Right.
It was really good, but I felt like I need to say like 40 Hail Marys and, you know, give up winking for a week. I don't know. It was crazy, man. But
Well, there you all have it. Disclosure starting. I
Yes.
guess. Possibly.
oh,
Possible
man.
disclosure
Yes,
starting.
yes. It's done. They stuck a fork in it. I mean, that was basically, that could be the equivalent of landing on the front lawn. It really could. Did you see that thing that somebody captured off the news last week where it was at the White House and there was one of the better UFO pictures I've seen. And it was like up in the sky, like over the White House. I was like, damn, man.
Wow.
Wouldn't it be great? That I really want that. I just
wanted to land
yeah,
there and just come out and be like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey,
I just
I'm here.
want them to land. I'm just afraid though that we're going to shoot them. Like, you know, it's
Oh, we would.
yeah.
They have to be careful where they go. All right. Well, what?
Well, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, why don't we get a little palate cleanse of some news?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So, shall we do some other news? I feel
Okay.
like we should. Well, let's do an animal mutilation story. Since we were kind of talking about aliens. And
That's not much of a
UFOs.
palate cleanser,
It's
but
not, but let's just do it anyway.
All right.
So this is from Wales. So a UFO hunter named Helena Worth. Now, she claims that she is just an amateur investigator. She's a person that had her own experience, her own UFO sighting experience. And since that happened, she has taken it upon herself to
mutilate animals.
no, to
The experience,
investigate. I guess that
the
came out a
experience
little-
didn't go so well. I was abducted by a bunch of cows. It was a very strange experience. They kept milking me, saying, "How do you like it, Helen? How do you like it?" "Well, I'll tell you how I like it, you damn cows." Sorry.
No, she has taken it upon herself to investigate strange things that happen
Oh, okay.
in her area.
That was my second guess.
Now, this article is talking about how she claims that aliens are responsible for the recent killings of 2 sheep in the Cambrian Mountains in Wales. This is a really odd,
I just picture him on a craft monitoring the news.
right?
And the one alien father is like, listen, you know, he's monitoring the news. It's his only job, right? And he's on this. They're compartmentalized as well.
Right.
His little UFO is just monitoring Wells,
Right.
you know.
Just this one little mountain
and
range.
he's sitting there and he's got his teenage alien son behind him. Just happens to be bitching about something, wanting to borrow the drone or something, and
Right.
and he hears that she's like, aliens are responsible for killing this, and just that stop and that look behind, like, what? I didn't do it.
It wasn't me, I swear.
It's like these poor aliens are always accused of this, but for good reason.
It goes on to talk about an article of something that happened earlier this year when a local farmer named Jonathan Davies reported that his sheep had been killed to cops. And it was very strange because he claimed that it was like someone had been there with a knife and skinned the sheep. He said he'd never seen anything like it before. The only thing that was left was the head and and the skin, all the insides of the sheep were completely gone.
What?
Yeah, and it was very neat and tidy. Not a big mess like you would expect with an animal, but he claims that
surgical.
He reported it to the cops, and the police came back and told him that the sheep had been killed by a big cat. Now this started a whole rumor.
That makes me feel a lot better, sir.
And it gave the name to of the beast of Bont, because the village is called Bont, B-O-N-T.
Right.
It actually has a really long Welsh name with lots of just consonants.
Was it the beast of
Whatever it is.
Gervadan?
But I think that said that they also call that village Bont for people like me that can't pronounce the big long Welsh name. So this particular beast has been credited with killing sheep, like 20 back in 2012 and 12 sheep in 1981. These are all the times they had big animal slaughters. I guess it doesn't eat very often. I don't know. But this recent one where the sheep were just completely skinned, all neat and tidy. And then they tried to say that it was just these big cats that nobody's actually got pictures of. They're just elusive.
Wow.
Big cats, supposedly in Wales. So, I don't know. It's very strange. She claims that there's something in Wales called the Sheep Mutilation Corridor. It's an area in Wales where all of these things have occurred over the years, the one in 81 and the one in 2012.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's just all in this one area with these certain villages. So, I don't know. Very strange. I thought the mutilation was really odd, the way it was carried out.
No, it is. It is. I mean, especially all nice and neat, 100% like that.
Right.
And how many sheep again?
And this particular time, there was only 2. But before, back in 2012, there was 20. I think there was a whole string of 20 sheep.
Wow.
And then back in 1981, there was about 12.
Well, yeah, that's coming out of the 70s when they had hundreds of them. It was horrifying.
So, and I mean, even the mysterious big cat, supposedly, that's a whole mystery on its own, because
I'm actually very familiar with that.
Yeah, it's not.
Honestly.
That's not something that people.
There's pictures, by the way.
I mean, yeah, not definitive though, are they?
No, I mean, there's pictures though. Honestly, the last picture I seen, honest to Pete, it was on the side of a hill, and it looked like a house cat. It looked like spooky.
Right.
Perspective, they had it closer and said it was further away, kind of thing.
Right.
Look at this giant,
Oh, maybe they're using that to cover up for the alien sheep mutilations. They're
maybe.
Wait, zoom in on this cat. Oh, look, big cat. It's Panther.
Yeah.
It's Panther.
Yeah. It was like they had it way too close. If they had it 3 feet away and said that was 12 feet away, it'd be scary. Sometimes they do with alligators.
Right.
We've all seen the giant alligator that probably wasn't at the right perspective.
I saw this article. I didn't bring it to the show, but I did see this article where people were claiming that they were seeing alligators in this particular body of water, and the nature people came back and were like, no, those are beavers.
What?
I don't know how they confused that. I don't remember where this was.
Jeez,
but
I want to see the beaver. It's like a 70s beaver.
I just thought that was funny. I didn't realize you could confuse a beaver for an alligator or a crocodile or something.
Are drugs legal?
I mean, you would think so. I got some stories later that drugs are bad, people.
All right.
Drugs are bad.
That's exciting.
All right. So let's move off from the sheep mutilations. I will mention, I'm not going to go in depth with these stories, but, because of the whole alien thing, I'll just mention this. They have had a lot of stories recently about things they're discovering in our galaxy, which are kind of interesting. They had the one about hundreds of mysterious structures found at the heart of the Milky Way.
Yeah, very, very strange. Just like energy things or...
Yeah, they're like filaments. Now, the filaments aren't a new thing. They've seen them before, but these particular ones are new ones that they found, like a new population of them. And what's weird about them is they're aligned along the galactic plane, and they're all pointing in the direction of the galactic center.
Wow.
Which is kind of weird. I guess there's a black hole there, and I guess they think it has something to do with that. They're not really sure, and just the fact that they found all these mysterious structures at the heart of the Milky Way was very strange. And also with the heart of the Milky Way, there's some scientists that are looking for alien signals from that very location.
Oh.
They've decided to focus.
Well, we've had a bunch of signals coming from there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is the Breakthrough Listen investigation. Like we've talked about Breakthrough Listen before, but they have decided that they're going to focus on that particular area. So it's a little weird that they're finding new things there. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, let's just listen here kind of around Sagittarius A, which is that supermassive black hole. You're like, oh, we're just going to listen there. Yeah. And of course, there was a story about the James Webb Telescope. This isn't our galaxy, but they did have the James Webb Space Telescope find some complex molecules. And these are the ones that, they're like the oldest ones or furthest away they've ever detected. Like we're talking early universe.
Wow.
Creation, like less than 1.5 billion years.
Wow.
Which is a really long time. I know it doesn't sound like it's early, but it is. Supposedly that light traveled over 12 billion years to get to us, and they were able to find these complex molecules, which they find on Earth now, but it's just the oldest they've ever seen them before. Right. So it's been like tons of stuff.
It's like it happened too quickly.
Right, right.
I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, so there are a lot of really important things happening right now.
They're
like
just
space discoveries.
They're only at the beginning of what they're going to find with that damn thing.
I know.
It's insane. Just being able to look back that far.
Right.
You know, I would be looking at the moons than our current setup of planets.
Yes.
Personally, with that powerful thing, you know, like where you could see a dime on the ground.
Well, yeah, I was wondering that too. I thought about that the other day. Why? I mean, I know they've sent it way out in deep space, but with such a powerful, I mean, couldn't they look at our planet so closely with that thing and get just more information? Because there's so much stuff about our own, galaxy that we don't.
Oh, yeah.
That we don't know.
If they could see out that far.
Right.
Think about they should be able to pierce clouds and look at things that we couldn't see. And again, go into like anomalies that we know are out there on certain moons.
Right.
Like go to Phobos, right? And just be able to see, LK loves, TC on the monolith. It's
Nook was here.
Yeah, Nook was here.
They could look at the plumes.
They could see the plumage.
Speaking of moons, there was also a story about
that's no moon.
about how Earth has a new what they call a quasi-moon. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I've heard of that little rock that's going around the Earth for the last whatever.
Yeah, well, it's funny because it says they just recently discovered an asteroid that tags along with the Earth during its yearly journey around the sun. And supposedly this thing they believe it's been traveling with us since like 100 BC. But we've just now detected it. And they say that they're calling it 2023 FW13. It's called that because they just discovered it. But they consider it a quasi-moon or like a quasi-satellite, which just means that it orbits the sun in a similar time frame as Earth. It's not really influenced by our gravitational pull, but it just kind of follows along with us. They claim it's estimated to be 50 feet in diameter, which is what they say roughly equivalent to 3 large SUVs parked bumper to bumper. I guess that's supposed to help you visualize the size of it. I love their measurement thing. It's the size of a half-eaten school bus or something. I don't know. Their size things are weird. And they say during its orbit of the sun, it also circles Earth, coming within 9 million miles of our planet. Now they claim that there's no chance it's going to hit us, but that it's just going to sort of travel along with us for a while.
Well, yeah, since it's been around that long. And I mean, is it like another Black Knight, you think? Do you think it's just another monitoring device that's...
No idea. But they do say it seems to be the longest quasi-satellite of Earth known to date. Now, they have found others before. I think there was one other one.
Is it not quasi?
Maybe.
Okay.
Could be.
I guess potato, right?
Potato,
Yeah.
quasi. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just wondered if I was wrong.
Oh, you probably aren't. I'm not the best on the pronunciation side.
Okay.
So I'm actually not 100% sure about that one. Now, there is one other one that's known as, here comes the pronunciation thing again, Kamo Oalua.
Bless you.
Yes. It was discovered in 2016, and it also follows our planet during its orbit around the sun.
That's your quasi rock going around. That's the only thing I can think of. They're going to get really close to it.
Oh my God.
Well, that's Han Solo. But that damn Imperial droid, man, I'm always waiting for it to show up outside the window.
Yeah. Well, they claim that the other one that follows us with the weird name, suggested that it could be a fragment of our moon. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
I just think it's weird that we've had them for so long and we're just now discovering them. I mean, with all the stuff we do in space.
Well, yeah, it's very strange. But, you know, one of the things I like is some of those old, you know, different native people from around the world have the stories of before the moon. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah, where before the moon was even a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, why would they make that one up? That was, you know, the time before the moon. I want to know about that. Like,
I would like to know.
And how are you still here? Like, if it hit something and unless it got stuck in our orbit, or unless somebody just put it there to, you know, maybe we had a really bad time with tides.
Maybe.
They're like,
I mean, the Earth was flooded, right?
Well, we're going to move these guys along a little bit. Let's advance them 100,000 years and give them a moon.
There you go.
They can go to the beach.
They need a moon.
Yes.
All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about let's talk about AI and how scary it is.
AI is horrifying. It gets more horrifying per year. Per day.
Per day, yes. So this is a story that talks about the United States Air Force Chief of AI Test and Operations. His name is Colonel Tucker Cinco Hamilton.
He won't live long.
And he went to the Future Combat Air and Space Capabilities Summit, which was held in London at the end of May. And he was giving a test, and he was talking about an AI drone simulation test that they were doing.
Right.
Okay. So his report about this simulation test that they did claims that the AI drone killed its human operator during the simulation test. And he was pointing out the hazards of using this, AI technology. Now, the way that this simulation worked is he said that they were training this drone. It was an AI drone, but it had a human operator that was telling it when it could kill targets. Right. So he said that they were training it in simulation to identify and target a surface to air missile threat. Mm-hmm. And then the operator would say, yes, kill that threat.
Right.
Now, the system started realizing that while they did identify the threat, sometimes the human operator would tell it not to kill the threat. But it got all its points by actually killing the threat. So what did it do? It killed the operator because the operator was keeping it from achieving its points and accomplishing its objective. So they decided, well, let's train it. So they trained the system, hey, don't kill the operator. That's bad. You're going to lose points if you kill your operator. So what does it start doing after that? Then it starts destroying the communication tower that the operator uses to communicate with the drone to stop it from killing the target so that it could continue to kill whatever targets it wanted to without being told no by the operator.
Damn. We need to get that thing in the military now.
So the point of the story is just because we think we can control this AI, they have loopholes. They're smart. They can
Yeah.
come up with ways around what we think we're telling it to do.
No, you can't outsmart the AI.
How scary is that?
It keeps getting smarter, and it's going to take over. And I know how it's going to do it. It's going to somehow make the perfect sex dolls. And is going to just completely get us preoccupied with
That's what it is. That's what it is.
subservient sex dolls. Mm-hmm. They'll get them in every house. It'll be like Planet of the Apes until they turn on us. But they'll still have like that sex doll, whatever we set up for their accents and stuff.
Right.
And they'll just be like, "You're going to die now," you know. "You dirty, dirty boys. It's my turn."
Death by a sex robot.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse.
I guess there's worse ways to go,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there you go. Definitely need some oversight on the AI.
And on the sex robots.
Absolutely. All right. So let's just do a few more stories here. All right. Let's do a Bigfoot story.
Ah, Bigfoot.
Yes. So this is a story about a woman that posted an image on Facebook of a monster footprint that she found in the Joshua Tree National Forest.
Oh my God.
National Park. And the caption of the picture, it's like a huge footprint picture. And the caption read, "Found this print this morning," which was right at the end of May, like May 29th. And she had taken a picture of her foot in with the footprint. Now, her shoe size is size 8, which is roughly about, I think it said 9.5 inches, something like that.
Right.
So it means that the footprint is about over 19 inches long. Now, several Facebook users, they agreed with her. Yes, that looks like a big footprint. Wow. They're like, that thing must be 20 feet tall. Some people...
It would have an enormous Schwanstucker.
No, not really. We're talking about Bigfoot here.
The
The Bigfoots are, big feet, small.
Yeah, I forgot about the poor guys. Why they're so angry.
Right.
They do have that really nice derriere, though.
They do. They do have the
Glorious,
muscular back end.
Yeah.
That's why you always see them from behind.
Right.
Like when there's people that are they're like, oh, somebody's looking, and they just turn around and be like, ooh, and they look over their shoulder at you.
I remember that Patterson Gimlin footage had some nice old mommy milkers.
Oh God.
It's my favorite.
Wow.
I like those bilfs.
And some people, of course, were questioning the footage, though. They were like,
bet.
why is there only one footprint? Doesn't Bigfoot have 2 legs? Why would
God,
there
I
only
hope it's
one?
a one-legged Bigfoot.
And it's just hopping. It's only a left footprint. I don't understand.
It's just like, wait, what was that? Oh, God! He's driving his F-350 diesel. Why, you may ask? Well, the Schwanstucker.
Yes. That's what those guys do.
Well, according to that guy who used to do this show.
They overcompensate with the big truck.
That's what I hear.
All right.
So was it a 20-pound? Oh, not 20-pound. Was it that freaking emaciated Bigfoot? We found the poor bastard.
Skinny.
He only had one leg, and he's 20 pounds. He had a nice ass, though.
He's still 20 feet tall, but he only weighed 20 pounds.
A very tiny Schwanstucker.
Oh, wow.
We're going to freeze him in ice and take him to all the malls.
She only found the footprint. I think it said that that TV show was thinking about coming to that area, the Expedition Bigfoot. They agreed to visit the park and investigate. I don't know if that's a thing that's going to happen. But, yeah, she thinks she found a Bigfoot footprint. You never know. It's a national forest. You get all kinds of weird stuff in national parks.
Yeah, you do.
That's the point. That's the reason they have national parks.
Yeah, to put all the weird stuff.
Right,
to hide
exactly.
it.
To hide all the
Yeah.
weird stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to the story from Florida.
Oh, yeah.
This is from Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay.
So this was on their NBC channel there. A Fort Myers family had some unexpected company for dinner this past Thursday night. They were sitting down to eat supper when all of a sudden a man came walking into their house. And when the dad got up to confront him, the man was confused because he said he was a ghost and nobody should be able to see him.
Oh my God. How lucky was he? I mean, did he walk into a house full of mediums or?
I guess so. He said the gentleman who owned the house said that the guy came in and told him that he was a ghost and I shouldn't be able to see him. He was really shocked that he could see him. And he just thought he was walking around and coming into people's houses and nobody could see him. So he left the house. Like, they got him out of the house.
I thought bath salts were gone.
Drugs are bad, people. I think when he left the house, there were some people down the street doing work on trees, like a tree crew. And he got in their truck and just told them he was going to live there now. So he stayed in the truck for a while. Eventually they got him out of the truck and I think he ran off and they don't know. They're asking for tips if anybody has any idea what this guy is. But yeah.
Wait a second. So nobody's seen this guy again?
Nobody saw him again.
Okay, look. Everybody likes making their jokes, don't they?
Right.
What if this son of a bitch was a ghost? I mean, you're down in Florida.
That's true.
There's a lot of spacey, wasty stuff down there. I mean,
he got caught on their doorbell camera.
Well,
and you couldn't see through him, but
we see ghosts all the time on doorbell cameras.
This is
you
true.
love them.
This is true. Yeah, nobody knows where he is now because he went into the house and then he got into the tree trimmer's truck, and eventually they
we think it was the COVID, sir.
They got him out of the truck and he just ran away.
We call it super long ethereal COVID.
He was not wearing anything but a bathing suit. So
was it like a Speedo or like
I don't
board
think
shorts?
So. I think it was like shorts, but apparently he's just the ghost of some guy that died at the beach.
Well, I mean, it's Florida.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, that's if you're gonna find somebody like that. I mean, that dude. More than likely not, but it's like that video of, cat's probably not going to kill you, but you can never say it for certain or whatever, right?
Right. The gentleman called the police. He didn't want to press charges. He just wanted to find the guy so that they could help him. They feel like he needs help of some sort.
Yeah.
So crossing over, obviously, he needs help crossing
needs
over.
To quit using all that energy up. Maybe he worked at a nuclear plant or something.
Maybe.
Oh, Tommy died like 10 years ago. Still hadn't missed a day of work.
He keeps showing up.
We can see him. He can push the button.
All right. So
a lot safer for the rest of us.
The last story is about a bear. Yes, in Connecticut.
Like a bear, or
like a
or this month
bear.
is June bear.
No, I don't know what that means.
Well, this is a certain month for prideful.
Oh, no,
like hey, I'm your bear.
No, like a grizzly bear.
Yes, I would have to say
actual bear.
I would have to have mentioned your bull for you to understand.
I apologize. So workers at a Connecticut bakery were frightened, and they have on video a bear goes into their garage. They were loading a van for a delivery, grabbed a box of about 60 cupcakes and ran off with it, drug it into the parking lot and started eating the cupcakes.
What?
Yes, this bear just decided he had a sweet tooth all of a sudden. And one of the employees said that they were in the process of loading the cupcakes into the van for delivery when the bear made its appearance. And the worker, Maureen Williams, said she initially tried to scare the bear away by yelling.
Did Maureen have like crumbs on her shirt when she was?
I don't know. But she said it turned around. I love this part. She said it turned around and came towards her and did what DEEP is the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, calls a bluff charge, where he made kind of a huffing noise and came at her a little bit quicker. Now, Maureen works in a bakery, but she knows the ins and outs of bears,
right,
and what the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection tells you about them. She is very knowledgeable on this subject.
Right.
So the bear did a bluff charge at her where he kind of ran at her a little quicker, and I guess she got the heck out of there. So she just backed out and ran, and another employee drove around in a car and started honking the horn until the bear ran off. I think the bear finished the cupcakes first, though.
Right.
Before it ran off. I mean, it went through all that trouble to get them.
The bear sounds like the smart one of the whole situation.
I know.
It's hey man, you know what? Credit to the bear.
Yeah, I caught it on video too. It's pretty cool.
I mean, that's awesome. Listen, would you not change the name of the cupcakes?
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
World famous smoky cakes or something like that. Were they pot brownies?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is a legitimate bakery.
You can have legitimate bakeries that have pot brownies.
Well, they're cupcakes, though, not brownies.
Well, maybe it's really good stuff. I mean, I don't know. I would change the name of the cupcake, man.
He's related to Cocaine Bear.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, I don't know.
Maybe Cocaine Bear inspired him.
Oh, there you go. He saw the movie.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to go get my own stuff.
Yeah. Enough of these. I've Cocaine Bear 2, Cupcake Bear.
He mistook the sugar. He saw him carrying the sugar, and he was like, oh, there's some of that white powdery stuff. I'm going to go get that.
Yeah. Some good stuff.
Yes.
Well, we stayed serious for the first part.
We did.
That's
we
the
did.
important thing.
Yes.
And
through the serious part, we did.
again, why so serious, you may ask? Because you'll look back on this day and you'll remember that this was the day that we did the story.
That a whistleblower came out with like all the things that people told you were crazy to believe.
Then they melted his brain and they covered it all up a few months later. And
Well, hopefully we won't be on here next week talking about how he's missing or had a weird heart attack or something.
that would really suck.
It would.
Yeah, especially if they do the damn thing I gave them the idea to do. Listen, you bastards, I know you monitor me. Don't kill him with the Havana syndrome. There's a million other ways you can do it. Don't do it with this. Just tell Hillary he said something mean about her. For my lovely wife, Stacey, I'm John. And by the way, I'm joking, Hillary. Love you guys. Mwah. So long from the Side Show.
Good night.